Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Round Table Talk. I am your host, C Money, and in this edition, we're doing another History South Florida. And in this edition, we're going to be doing several segments in this. There are going to be 3 locations, and within them locations, there may be like 2 parts of each location. Right now, we're in Key Biscayne. We're in Bill Baggs. We're entering Bill Baggs Cape Florida State Park, which is at the bottom of Key Biscayne. If you don't know, Key Biscayne is I would say it's an island that sits off of Florida. Well, not off of Florida. It's not really an island. It is an attachment to Florida. Give you a little bit information about Key Biscayne. Back in the early 1900s, Key Biscayne was only accessible by boat from the mainland, meaning you can only get to Key Biscayne through the boat and through the mainland. Through boats. It wasn't then the mid 1900s when they decided to build a bridge, which is now called the Rickenbacker Causeway, to connect people from the mainland to Key Biscayne. You know, because as you know by now, a lot of people who lives on the mainland, there are a percentage that works on Key Biscayne. So you imagine that a lot of them drive or use public transportation, which there is one bus that goes in and out of Key Biscayne. Like the other video from when we did Cape Olita River, we will be pausing throughout the video to show you, because we're going to be walking a long way throughout the video. So right now we're going to do a little pause and then we're going to come back. This is Bill Baggs, Cape Florida. The Round Table Talk. Okay, I'm going to give you, we're back, Round Table Talk, Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park. I'm going to give you, just like Olita River, and I told you before, all state parks has a fee to get in. If you're a pedestrian, it's mainly $2. But there is, and if you're going by vehicle, there's a fee. There was a lizard that was just right there, so I had to move further away. Even though some lizards may be harmless, some lizards may not be harmless. As you know, that this is a walkway away from the entrance. If you've seen the episode of Olita River, the entrance fee for the pedestrians was also at the same as the guard gate. Not the guard gate, but the ranger station or the ranger gate for the pedestrian entrance. For the vehicle entrance. This one, I believe, is separate. I did a video here years ago, but it wasn't a video for the Round Table Talk. I was just doing random videos, and I think I was doing a YouTube video, if I'm not mistaken. But my video, of course, got lost, just like it did at Olita River. So, yes, there's a sign that says stop ahead and pay fees, which is a $2 fee. I'm going to show you it, then I'm going to pay the fee. I'm going to show you it, then we're going to go do another quick break and pay the fee. And then we're going to come back, because as I said, there are going to be long walks throughout this park. So, actually the pay station is right the same as the vehicles. It's just that there's a separate walk area to get to. See, that's the pay station for the vehicles. And this is the pay station for it's $2 for bicyclists and pedestrians. Let me get my $2 out. Of course, I need to push my $2 in. You have to get an envelope. So I'm going to pay my $2. I'm going to take a quick pause and then we'll come back. Hey, welcome back to the Round Table Talk. We are in Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park. I'm going to give you a little insights of this park while we're walking a little bit on everything. This park was created in 1967. I believe I wrote it down, but it's in my backpack. It was named after Bill Baggs, who was an editor for the Miami News newspaper, I believe. And this park is historical, like I said in my previous episodes at Oleta River. Most county parks, majority of the county parks are historical. Like Greenwich Park, when we did an episode with Greenwich Park, that's a county park, which is historical. There are very few city parks that are owned by local cities that are historical. All state parks are historical. Remember, we visited Oleta River, and that is a historical state park. And this is Bill Baggs. This is a historical state park. The reason for it, this park was built back in 1967. It may not have been a park back then, but it may have been a reserve. But the reason for it is, back in the day, this was part of the Underground Railroad, which was the black slaves used to come this way to get on boats. You're going to see it after a while throughout the video, because there's a section in the area that gets where they come down this way to get on boats to flee to the Bahamas. Also, another reason why this is historical, it has the oldest how do I say, the oldest thing in Miami, which is the Cape Florida Lighthouse, which is the oldest, how can you say, the oldest lighthouse, or the oldest, not a statue, but the oldest thing in Miami, in the county. There are so many ways to go. Now, I'm going to tell you about this. There are so many trails in this park. I will not be taking all of the trails. We will probably do a 2-part to this park, because we are doing several locations. Remember, we are doing 3 locations in Key Biscayne. This is the first stop, which is Bill Baggs, which is at the bottom of Key Biscayne. It's on Crandon Boulevard, which is the main road. There is a extended road called Harbor Drive, which extends to the outskirts of Key Biscayne. But we are on Crandon Boulevard. We're also going to be visiting Crandon Park, which is another historical park. That park is owned by the county. And Virginia Key Beach Park, which is, I believe, owned by the county as well. And we're going to be talking about them. So now I'm doing another walk. So now we're going to wait. See, I could have took the trail back there, but that trail is going to lead me all the way around. It's going to be a minute before on that trail. So I'm taking the easy route. So I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to come back. This is the Roundtable Talk, Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we're back for a brief second. This is a historical trail. Now, this is probably the trail I took the last time I was here. But as I told you, there are a lot of trails there, and there's one right there that probably somebody created. Now, the thing about the difference between this and Oleta River is, Oleta River sits in North Miami Beach. It sits around commercial and residential properties and buildings. So, majority of the trails are not as long. If you come to Bill Baggs, 70 to 80% of Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park is nothing but trails and woods and trees and stuff like that, because Bill Baggs is surrounded by water. Keepers Cottage is basically an island. As I mentioned earlier, you can only access Key Biscayne in the early 1900s through a boat. And they now built the bridge. The county and people, city officials and everybody got together in the mid 1900s and said we needed a bridge. And I guarantee you, for a lot of people who worked on there, that worked that was back then. You know, it was hard for them to get to and from here, regardless if they were driving or something. And then, you know, so it would you can understand. The administrative office is this way, which is probably the ranger station. And there's people with golf carts. I believe a lot of these people who have golf carts are people who live in the area, because the entrance to Bill Bags, there's a lot of residential condominiums and apartments and stuff like that. And maybe you can rent a golf cart out here because of, you may not want to walk, or you may not want to, you know, drive your car. You just want to park your car and stuff. But there's every state park, well, majority of every state park, there's something to do. We're going to be visiting more state parks, of course. We're going to take another brief break, another pause. We're going to come back, and we're going to do. Well, first of all, we're coming up to the area. This is the parking lot area, you know. Also, there's a restaurant here now at Oleta River. They didn't have a restaurant. I visited this park years and years and years ago. This was like maybe 5+ 10 years ago. This was around the time I was in college, and this was in like 2011, 2012. I was in college at the time, you know. And then I was recording this, and I was doing it, and one of my friends from college was talking about it, and they was like, oh, I love nature trails and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a lot. So this is an area where people go to. So like picnic areas and the parking area. We're gonna pause, we're gonna come back, because eventually we'll probably end up in the back area where the restaurants, and we're gonna go to the lighthouse, you know, and everything. But this is one of the areas where you can park at, and you can picnic by the water, and so we'll take a quick break. We'll see you in a little bit. Roundtable Talk. All right, welcome back to the Roundtable Talk. Fast forward, we're still in Bill Bass Cape Florida State Park. Right now, we're coming up to the area where the restaurant is, and we're also coming up to where you can rent bikes. I'm going to show you over here. This is the bike rental area. And do be aware, there are a lot of critters like iguanas and, you know, critters. They do have bikes. They do have these bikes that you can rent out here. I've never rode none of them here, but I did rode them at Amelia Earhart. It's called Lighthouse Bike Rental. We're gonna come this way. Because this way, I believe, is the way to the lighthouse. But we're gonna walk by the area. This is called Lighthouse Cafe. It's a restaurant. This is one of the few state parks that actually has a restaurant. As you recall, Oleta River didn't have a restaurant. They probably sold snacks and stuff like that, but they didn't actually have an actual restaurant there. So, and of course they have a beach, because as you can see, there's people coming from the beach. So we're gonna look on towards the beach. Now, we're gonna go this way because apparently that's the beach. You're gonna probably see the beach, but what we're gonna be gaining for more is basically the lighthouse. Now, as I did my research, there was no significant information on when was the lighthouse created. I'm quite sure there was, or there is, but through my research, there wasn't a significant date. There wasn't a significant date when the lighthouse was built, but I'm sure there is a date that the house created, because it's one of the oldest. It's created in Miami, in the county. Um, we're gonna do a quick, um, take a quick break, and actually, we're coming up to it. So there's no quick break or nothing like that. I could have went towards the beach area, but I wasn't really fascinated with the beach area. Like I said, I took a different way of getting this way. I took a way that you really wasn't supposed to take this way, because you have the trail area that takes you through the nature trail throughout there. And the one thing about this is they have a mountain bike trail where you can do for the mountain bikes. We'll probably see that. I kind of thought it was it was at Olita River, but I believe it's here at Cape Florida. Okay. This is the beach area still. See, there's the ice cream truck right there. See, a lot of people come out here and they promote their businesses, like, or they come out here with them, like you have an ice cream truck. They may come out here and sell ice cream and stuff. They may sell ice cream at the Lighthouse Cafe. I've bought a drink there before, but I have my own bottle of water here, so I don't have to worry about getting the drink. I'm gonna walk further down. Okay, let me go over here because I want you to see the sign. The entrance to the lighthouse, I believe, is free. If I'm not mistaken, there's a iguana right there that just rolled by me. I believe it's free, if I'm not mistaken, because I did do the lighthouse, but there's only a certain amount of people that can go up at a time. Now, due to the nature of it, depending on the information, I may have to pause it or something, because depending on, they may not allow video recording, but we're going to look at it. Cape Florida Lighthouse open 10 to 11 a.m., 1 to 2 p.m. Tours begin under the awning. We are all welcome, but you must be 42 inches tall to walk upstairs. There are 109 steps to the viewing area. Please clean off the sand off your shoes. No food, drinks, or glass permitted in the tower. Ground closes at 4. So, the lighthouse is closed on the inside. Bill Baggs was a self-educated small-town boy from Georgia, a WW2 veteran who rose to become editor of the Miami News from 1957 to 1969. He envisioned a state park at the tip of Key Biscayne instead of the condominium development that was planned. Baggs used his prestige and charm and the front page of his newspaper to convince the landowner, Mrs. Garcia, to sell her land for half its value. Baggs then convinced state and federal leaders to set aside funding to purchase Mrs. Garcia's land for a public park. Cape Florida State Park opened to the public on New Year's Day, 1967. So, 2 years after returning from a peacekeeping mission in Vietnam, Bill Baggs died at the age of 46 in 1973. The state of Florida honored him by naming our beautiful park after him. Though his life was brief, he accomplished much through his role of editor of the Miami News, where he advocated for civil rights and world peace. His paper won several Pulitzer Prizes during his tenure and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to end the Vietnam War. He was a friend and advisor to President John F. Kennedy. This park stands as a living reminder of Bill Baggs' impact on Miami, our environment, and our world. So basically, that tells you a little bit more about him. If you do your research, it basically tells you he was an editor of the Miami News. This area is for the state park. And as you can see, throughout the years, it has been restored. Okay. This is some of the original beams from the tower. Okay, we're gonna walk through. This is the entrance to the lighthouse. The lighthouse is separate from the beach. As you know what lighthouses are, they are to guide boaters away from land, to guide boaters to make sure that they don't hit land, or they are like at nighttime when they are on the sea, it guides them so they would not get into an accident through water, meaning they run into land or they hit a rock or anything. It's to guide them. This is the walkway to it. There's also, which is also a house here, but it is not used anymore. There is a house where the lighthouse, the person who ran the lighthouse lives, and you're gonna see that. And at one point, but now I believe the lighthouse is automatic. So there is no one that actually serves the lighthouse. Oh, oh. This is Cape Florida Lighthouse. I see they have cameras up there. See the lighthouse is closed. For your safety, no more than 10 people in the observation room at one time. No more than 8 people on the observation deck at any time, meaning that you can go up there. They say there's 109 steps. The lighthouse tours begin under the front canopy Thursday through Monday. So, we're gonna go through this way. There is a way here through a nature area. As you can see, there's a lot. I am trying to see if I can find it, but we're up. Right here is escaping to freedom in the Bahamas. As you can see, this is back in the early 1820s. Enslaved African runaways and black Somalians seeking freedom from slave catchers and plantation masters secretly worked their way down to Cape Florida. They met with bold captains of sloops from the British Bahamas who offered transportation across the Gulf Stream. In 1821, as reported by eyewitnesses, some 300 freedom seekers boarded from passage aboard 27 sloops or chose to sail Indian dugout canoes 107 nautical miles to secluded Andros Island. The construction of the Cape Florida Lighthouse by the federal government in 1825 effectively blocked the escape route. Bahamian descendants, some of whom still call themselves Black Somalis, lived in the Red Bay settlement on Andros, Cuban, Haiti, and other islands in the Caribbean region, where additional destinations along the Florida Underground Railroad. Bill Badge Cape Florida State Park takes its name from a visionary Miami newspaper editor and civil rights activist from the 1960s. Underground Railroad site designated September 15, 2004. So as you can see, when they built the lighthouse, it became where the Underground Railroad from the 1800s became, was blocked. U.S. Coast Survival Base marker. In 1855, a U.S. Coast Survey team led by A.D. Batch, the superintendent of the Coast Survey, erected 2 base markers on Key Biscayne. One is located on what is now the Gulf Coast. This one was on land 300 feet south of the lighthouse, but by 1883 it had disappeared into the sea as the shoreline eroded. In 1988, local professional land surveyors located this marker in 12 feet of the water. Then the U.S. Air Force 301's Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron recovered it. The men of this time thus helped to preserve the remains of another generation's struggle for excellence in measuring and mapping the earth. This is the base number 7, 1855. If you look out that way, and I believe further out into the sea, you can't see it. There is a place called Flowery Rocks. Flowery Rocks, if you can see it way out, is Flowery Rocks is basically a lighthouse that sits at least 7 miles out from Key Biscayne. It is the oldest lighthouse that sits out in the water in the southern Florida area. It was in use until they built the Cape Florida Lighthouse. This right here is the house where the village's renovation of Lighthouse Keepers Cottage, including conversion of cookhouse into a theater. This is the cookhouse, which is the theater. And this is the house where the Lighthouse Keepers Cottage was. This is where the lighthouse keeper lived when they was working at it. See, it says the original brick dwelling was completed in July 1825, a two-story cottage with 2 rooms on each floor. The lower floor was dirt and the upper floor had only one small window on each end. The kitchen was attached to the back. The first lighthouse keeper, John DeBruce, wrote of constantly making improvements with his son's help. In the 1830s, the government added 4 dormer windows. In 1835, a major hurricane damaged the cottage. In 1836, the cottage was burned to the ground in the Seminole attack. Reason Duke supervised the building of the cottage. Completed in 1846, 6 families of lighthouse keepers occupied the cottage and turned until 1878 when it was abandoned. By the 1920s, shoreline erosion had washed the cottage away. Bill Bagg's Cape Florida State Recreation Area opened January 1st, 1967, a replica of the keeper's quarters from the time when the men of the Ford and Pent family served as keepers was built by the state of Florida in 1969. This is the cottage which you see today. So this is a replica of the cottage that you see from there. There was a lighthouse attack. Archaeologists began work on Key Biscayne in 1985 and have uncovered hundreds of artifacts providing clues of human habitation beginning with the Tusquesta Indians and continuing through the mid-19th century. 10 archaeological sites are recorded on Key Biscayne. 6 are located within the park. The sites are scientific time capsules preserving information about the prehistoric and historic of Key Biscayne. One of the most significant discoveries made to date is the discovery of the foundation of a structure built about 1826 as part of the Lighthouse Keepers grounds. Archaeologists found clues that the structure had been burned, possibly as a result of the Seminole attack of July 23, 1836. And as you can see, this is the outhouse. As you know, back in the day, there wasn't indoor bathrooms. There was outhouses from the back. And of course, this is locked to keep people from going in. Of course, people tried to open it. And this is the kitchen that converted into a theater. The theater mostly is open when you can see a lot of the, when you can see information about the lighthouse and everything and stuff like that. So this is where, and this is also the area where, like I said in the thing, that the Bahamians, that the African Americans who fled for freedom from slavery, they came down here. But when they built the lighthouse, the Underground Railroad was demolished, so you couldn't really see much of, from the Underground Railroad and a lot of things. Let's go take a look at this right here. I guess this is where the water is. Okay, this will conclude part 1 of visiting Key Biscayne, Bill Bagg's Cape Florida State Park. We're going to do part 2 because the time of the show is now up. So it is now going to go to part 2. And we're going to complete this. This is the Roundtable Talk. I'm your host, C Money. And stick around because we're about to do part 2 of this, which will continue our tour through the nature trails of this park because this is the main park where you see the beaches and you have to see the restaurants and stuff. So now we're gonna do the nature trail that leads back to certain areas. So this is the Roundtable Talk. I'm your host, C Money. I'll see you in a little bit.